All right, so here are the legs off that SkyJump. You can see quite a bit of rust on them. And what I think I'm going to do is try my de-rusting solution. And here is that Evaporust. The good thing about this stuff is you can reuse it. So I had a project previously with this, and I just put it back in the bottle and kept it till I need it again. And in that other project, which you might want to go look at, I made this PVC, just took a tube and put a couple connectors on it with a firm cap at one end so it doesn't leak, and then the clean out lid on the other end so that you can open it and put the stuff in it. All right, I got the back glass out, getting it ready to seal it with triple thick. And this is a good way to see just where the paint is worn out. You can see this plane. This skydiver here has seen some better days. The helmet and some of the work. And then these guys have a little wear as well. The helmet, some flecking here. And then up where it says SkyJump, obviously that's pretty obvious that it's had some wear there. Not too bad around the score reels, the score windows, just a little bit there. You can see the brown everywhere. I think that's more from the lights than nicotine in the old day. But it comes off, and all you do is you take a paper towel, you spray it with Windex, and then you wipe the back of the glass off. You don't spray Windex on the back glass. So I'm going to do that, clean it off, then I'm going to seal it with triple thick, and then we'll see about touch-ups. All right, so this is after cleanup, and it's not perfect. I mean, I didn't do a deep rub down to get this brown out, but I did reduce it a lot. Took all this adhesive off, and they had some adhesive back foam padding on there that really crumbled, so took all of it off. Then, thanks to Clay at Pin Repair, best website ever for pinball repair. Clay, why don't you put those old guides back on there? Everybody would love it. He mentioned you can use a business card to cover the score windows and then weight them down with pennies. And I'm going to do that here just because I don't want to have to spray the triple thick on. Then I have to go in with an X-Acto knife and cut it out and trim it all up. It's not going to fully seal the score windows, but I think this will be fine. Well, the legs are done. Came out de-rusting. Some of them look really good. I mean, this is this leg's in really good shape. And then I had one that was more rusted. And you can see it's nice and shiny, but there are those imperfections. And I have to decide, am I going to wax them or am I going to try to clear coat? I'm a little nervous about clear coating because these things came out pretty good on the inside. Came out well, as nice as well. So looks good. These things are boogers to get off. The old levelers are frozen in place. They were rusted in place. So I'll have to try some WD-40. Maybe have to put a vise or something on there to try to get them off. I've had trouble with these in the past. So here's the back glass before I start on touch-ups. I don't know if you can really see with it on the wooden background, but the plane has work, the helmet, the backpack. This helmet's got some wear. This guy is needing a lot of work. It shows his tan here. And really SkyJump, I think, is where the bulk of the work's going to be. And I'm going to flip it over. And here you get an idea for, here's that helmet wear, here's the helmet wear and backpack wear. This is where that guy is really in bad shape. The plane, a couple of the skydivers, and then of course the SkyJump. And it probably shows up a little better looking at it backwards. So I'm going to break out some paint and see what I can do here. Alright, so I bought a package of acetate. This is like for you old timers out there, medium timers out there who used to have the overhead projectors at school. The teachers would write on it. This is kind of like that. It's clear plastic film. And then I bought some Createx transparent airbrush color. So the thinking being here, the solids don't work well if you're going to shine light through them, and I thought maybe this airbrush transparent stuff might work if I can brush it on. So I'm going to experiment on the acetate because I don't want to experiment on the backglass, and then I'll just overlay the acetate on the backglass to see how it looks. So I tried some experimentation on the acetate, see if I can show it, and you can see a lot of brush mark work, and I really just kind of experimented as I messed around a little bit with the paint. What I decided to do, I bought some of this reducer. It's a way to thin out the paint, and then all I did was I took a plate with a little bit of the white transparent, and then I just put a couple drops, and this was like 3 or 4 drops of the paint, 3 or 4 drops of the reducer, and I've just been experimenting, kind of dabbing it on, trying to avoid lines and lumps and that kind of thing. And I'm not quite done yet. I'm thinking I'm going to do 2 coats because you're pushing that stuff around, it's kind of thin. Figure it's better to put on multiple coats rather than trying to get it all in one. So I'll put a second coat on here after this dries for a couple of minutes, and then I'll turn over, see how it looks. So I've been working on the orange, been focused a lot on this airplane up here, and then this guy. The helmet turned out pretty well. I'll flip this over and have some look at it, but I've started working over here on this helmet, and it's tough because there are hundreds of these little tiny open flecks, and what I've been doing on some of these is dabbing it in. The nice thing about this paint is it's translucent or transparent, so you put it on in layers, and I don't know if you can see it real well, but remember this airplane had a lot of emptiness, and then here's that guy where I've been working, and hopefully the video, I'm going to zoom in. So hopefully you can see the lighter color orange is where I'm putting it in. What I found with that transparent paint, what I started to say, is I can use these 2 colors, which is the Createx transparent orange and then the Createx transparent sunset red. And what I can do is put in layers, so add a little bit of a red tint to the orange, which seems to be what the plane and the helmet and the guy are. They're not straight orange. Okay, here's an update on that back glass. What I learned as I was touching up the spots where the paint had flaked away, tried to build up some levels. What it was causing was I call it measles effect, where there were spots when you would shine a light behind it. So what I'm trying to do to avoid that is I put down several heavy coats of this paint, and it looks opaque here, but when you put it up with light behind it, it is transparent. I'm trying to minimize the look of those measles. So I'm trying a different approach here on the letters. What I'm doing here is not spotting, like this S for example. A lot of paint is missing there, so instead of just touching up where there was paint missing, I painted the entire orange of the letters. And the good news here is there was enough of it left that I could really see the imprint of the orange through the surface, the texture, and I could pretty accurately follow where the orange is. And what I also learned working with the orange is you don't put white down and then touch orange because the orange shows through. So do the dark color first and then do the whites. See all these dark spots are where the white peeled away. But what I'm going to do is give this probably another couple coats of orange, and I'll show you why here in a second as I turn it over. Okay, so now you can see the front of it, and so here's the orange that it was all missing before. From here it doesn't look as bad probably as it really is. We'll see how it looks when I look at the video. But up here you can see the orange and the SkyJump that I painted in the first time. And I don't know, I might be too far away, I may need to zoom in. I am painting over where there's some missing spots. My hope is I do that a few times, it will be clean enough to make it work. And now I'm going to try to pick it up and show you what it looks like with some light behind it. Okay, all I did is I picked up the back glass and I'm letting the light from above kind of shine through. And obviously you can see it's lighting the transparent numbers. I didn't have to do anything to these. And then you can see the orange that I'm working on with SkyJump. Hopefully this is going to turn out. You can see right here, that's all been painted in. See if I can turn it a little bit. Yeah, I don't know if it's going to show up at the video or not. This might be an example right here where I painted in, and it's still transparent on the right side of that orange, less transparent on the left where the original paint was. So I'm going to hit, here's another example where I painted that in. I'm going to try to give it a few coats to see if I can make it a little stronger before I attempt to do the white, because if I do the white first, these little bumps that I'm getting with the orange will show through. So we'll see how it goes. I'm actually optimistic with how this is working. Just don't know if I'm going to be able to finish it out with enough layers of transparent. And then look at the plane where it says Gottlieb and the number. I think you can see a little bit of that measle thing I talked about, but hopefully it's getting minimized so it doesn't show up as much. I'm going to try to tilt the glass a little bit more to see if I can really make it highlight from the light above. You can see there's a little bit of color splotching going on there, but that's with some pretty bright light above it. When I put it back in the machine, we'll see how it looks, but I'm not going to do that until I get this orange and white done on the SkyJump. So this leg, the bolt was really frozen on, and this is a little setup I use to try to, when I've got frozen leveler bolts on the legs, just a 2x4 against a folding table with a couple clamps. Then here's the actual bolt, and you can see how that rust had really frozen in on this threaded hole. So in order to get around it, I had to actually pound this off to get it this 3/8 inch, it's like a nut at the end of that bolt. And then even I have this little wrench, 3/8 inch wrench, and I put it on there, but I couldn't get enough leverage on it, so I took a pipe, cheater bar basically, put the wrench in the bar, hooked it up, and then it's like a 3-foot pipe, so I could just put some serious torque on it, and broke it loose, but it was really frozen on there tight. But this is a good way to do it without damaging the legs, because it's wood on wood. So now I'll just put another coat of wax in the legs and call it done. Alright, so here's the final product. I don't know, I think it's an improvement. I think it's better. I don't know how it's going to look on video. I took out a couple of light bulbs where the orange had really flecked. It was like that measle pattern, whereas I left the lights in where I painted more over a large blank area on the word SkyJump. The plane turned out well. I think it shows in the video as really bright, but in real life it's not. It's orange. It's not white. These guys turned out really well, I think. Just the right amount of color. Again, everything in the video looks brighter than it is in real life. And then right here is where there was a huge hole of missing paint, and that actually looks pretty good too. So first attempt, not bad, not perfect, but I think it's acceptable. What I could have done is cut out the areas, scrape them down to nothing, and then repaint them. But I didn't really want to get into scanning and figuring out how to paint numbers and letters, or use wet decals.